The morning sun was casting a golden light over the dense undergrowth of Zambia's South Luangwa National Park. The Luangwa River was fast and furious, reflecting its bright rays through the canopy of acacia trees. Two tourists, Aminata Diallo and Jacob Minguni, were camping on the riverbank, preparing for a day's rest. They had just lit the camp stove to cook their food, when suddenly, through the roar of the water, they heard a faint but distinct sound, a plaintive meow, like a kitten's cry, but longer and more desperate. Aminata and Jacob looked at each other, their eyes flickering with concern and curiosity. Without wasting any time, they left the tent and headed along the shore, carefully making their way through the thorny bushes. The sound grew louder, mixing with the splash of the waves hitting the rocks. Having reached a small clearing, they froze. On a flat stone in the middle of the river, surrounded by a turbulent stream, a small lion cub was shivering. Its wet fur stuck to its body, and its large eyes looked around restlessly, as if looking for its mother. Both tourists immediately looked around, trying to find traces of the lioness, but did not notice anything. However, instinct told them that danger could be nearby. They retreated a couple of steps, and exchanging quick glances, began to discuss what to do. Jacob took out his phone and called the South Luangwa Park Ranger Station. On the other end of the line, Ranger Esther Mwembe took the call, confirmed their location, about an hour's drive from the station, and warned that it was dangerous to approach the cub, as the lioness might be nearby. Meanwhile, the cub on the rock was looking weaker and weaker, and the waves kept washing over his paws. Aminata looked at Jacob and said, "We can't wait, he won't last." Jacob nodded, took off his jacket and handed it to Aminata. He carefully walked down to the water, clinging to the rocks to keep his balance in the strong current. Aminata stayed on the bank, ready to help, keeping a close eye on the bushes in case the lioness appeared. The lion cub, seeing Jacob, first recoiled, his ears pressed down in fear. But Jacob spoke softly, trying to calm the baby. Gradually, the lion cub stopped shaking so much, and Jacob, coming closer, carefully picked him up in his arms, feeling how his little heart was beating. Holding onto the rock with one hand, he turned to the shore. Aminata leaned over, holding out her hands, and together they pulled the lion cub onto dry land. On the shore, Aminata wrapped the baby in a jacket, wiping his wet fur. Jacob brought a bottle of water from the tent and some milk from the supplies, pouring it into a bowl. The lion cub sniffed it and began to drink greedily. Aminata continued to monitor the area as Jacob stroked the cub, feeling its breathing become more regular. An hour later, the sound of an engine was heard. Esther and her colleague, Ranger Tobias Chanda, arrived with a transport cage. They listened to the tourist story and examined the cub. A veterinarian accompanying the rangers confirmed that the cub was healthy, but scared and weak. Esther suggested that the cub might have been carried away by the current from the Pride, which lives 2 kilometers upriver. The rangers took the cub to the station, where it was fed and warmed up. The next morning, Esther and Tobias set off along the river to find its family. At the bend, they noticed a lioness walking restlessly along the bank, with another cub next to her. When the cage was opened, the cub rushed to his mother. The lioness sniffed him, licked him, and pressed herself against him, and the second cub happily rubbed against his brother. Esther took a photo of the reunion and sent it to Aminata and Jacob with the message, "Family together, thank you." When they saw the photo, their hearts filled with warmth. This day at the Luangwa River became not just an adventure for them, but a story of compassion and unity with nature that they will remember forever. Friends, thank you for taking the time to read this story. If it touched your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to support us. See you in the next wildlife stories.